The PA Empowerment Network is a game changer, uniting individuals with shared goals to support and uplift each other, providing resources, mentorship, and a sense of community. Empowering people means giving them the tools and confidence to thrive and create positive change in their lives and communities.
Hey all, welcome to Mental Health Mondays. My name is Hope. I am your host. And you can see what we're talking about, or what I'm talking about today, me, myself, and I, is basketball saved me. So you get me for the next 30 minutes. I would like to start, as I always do, with a positive affirmation. What I would normally ask a guest is, I am, and wait for a response of what that guest says positively about themselves. And, I am resilient, but I think that I am blessed. So that's what I would like to say today. Welcome to the PA Empowerment Network. Our CEO, producer, Kendall McCall. Tomorrow is Kendall's birthday. So let's wish Kendall a happy early birthday. And without Kendall, none of this would be possible. So thank you, Kendall. Not only are you our CEO for the PA Empowerment Network, the producer, of course, and you're my friend. So thank you very, very much. I appreciate you. So things that we talk about on Mental Health Mondays can be triggering. There's potential for trauma response. So I always want to make sure that you have this number 988. It is our nationwide mental health and suicide crisis hotline, 988. And also, because of what we'll be talking about today, you may need some resources in your local community. So we also have another national line that is 211. And you can also go to 211.org. So what that is, you put in your zip code. And if you are looking for any sort of resources, mental health resources, or any resources that you need in your community, that's the place to find it. So 988 and also 211. Thanks for joining me. Today, it is all personal. And it's something that I have definitely talked about before, but not on this platform. I am in the process of writing a book about me, which is weird. It's called Basketball Saved Me. And if you know me personally, you know I'm a baller, but if you don't, now you do. It's called Basketball Saved Me, Healing from Sexual Trauma Through Sport. And it's been in the making for a very, very long time in bits and pieces, but more just in the background of my mind to get this book written. And then when I saw, not too long ago, I saw my, actually probably about 2 years when he said this, my high school basketball coach, Mr. Charles Green, he said, when are you going to write that book? You need to write that book while I'm still able to read it, while my vision still allows me to read it. And I promised him that even if I didn't get the book written, if his eyes were bad, before his eyes went bad, that I would read it to him, or I would have it on audio for him. I'm not quite sure if this is the direction that he could see my book going, but as I look back on my life and who I am, basketball truly saved me. I've been playing basketball since middle school, and now I've been coaching it for the last 25 years. So what I wanted to talk about today is I've had a bit of a hiatus here. And the reason, some of it was just holiday scheduling and things like that. But the main reason was where I was at in my own headspace. And because writing this book is, they say you have to go through it to get through it. And it's been very cathartic and a lot of thinking and growing has occurred during this writing, which the book will be finished by the end of summer. So I hope it's something that you all would like to read, maybe. Again, it's a pretty sensitive topic. So once again, 988, reach out to me. Reach out to me. You can find me through my Facebook page, Mental Health Mondays, if you don't know me personally. So please always reach out. I will talk to you and we'll get it figured out for you. I know that we have some new followers. Do we have a phone number that people can call in? My number. Yeah. I think through Mental Health Mondays would be the way to reach me right now. But that is something. Sorry, talking with our producer. You missed my happy birthday to you, Kendall. He's like, that's why I walked out. But somebody did ask me that today, if we had a phone number that people could call in. And I know for me, that's something that I would like to work on. And I just don't want to use my own personal. We do have a phone number. All right. Kendall is the bomb diggity. It's going across the screen right now. There's no one better than Kendall. So if you do have something you'd like to call in, please, feel free. But so I want to say that a couple of years ago, I was at a political event, and my opponent, I ran for state representative. My opponent opposed a bill at the PA House level that would allow children of sexual crimes against them it would extend the statute of limitations for them to file civil suit. And he opposed that. Now it passed the House, thankfully. Still sits in Senate along with those other 200 plus bills that our Pennsylvania senators refuse to work on. Yeah, I will get political because the personal is political. The political is personal because the Republican Senate doesn't want to work with the Democratic House. So even if it's a good bill, they're not passing it. Reach out to your local senator on that if you're in Pennsylvania. If you're not in Pennsylvania, then see what your state legislature is doing, because these statute of limitation laws are very, very important. And the reason for that is this is something that happens to people that you don't always talk about. Actually, some people never talk about. And or our brain is so amazing. Our brain is so fragile yet so resilient at the same time. And I talked to so many people who didn't remember. And then all of a sudden something happened one day, whether it was a scent, whether it was a location, whether it was an action, and they remembered. And that's something that was terrible that happened against them that somebody should have responsibility for, because how do you heal completely when there's no one to be held accountable? And we talk about closure with a lot of things in life. And unfortunately, sometimes we have to make our own closure. But if there's a way that we can get closure from the powers that be or from the perpetrator, it helps. It helps in the healing. So here is our phone number. If you want to call in, 908-899-3089. Again, that's 908-899-3089. So again, sensitive topic, letting you just know, up front, what we're talking about specifically is incest. Remember 988 if you feel the need to talk with someone. Again, you can always call us. But that does not negate the fact that you should speak with a professional. I am a mental health practitioner, but this is something that, you should really start on a journey with a professional to help you out and follow you all the way through. And again, 211 also for your locality, they can help you get services that you need. So I was molested from the time I was 4 until the time I was 13. And my book is actually broken down into quarters. It's basketball. Come on now. And when people say ball is life, it truly is. And that means something different for everybody. But for me, ball is life because I feel that I may not be the person I am today if I didn't have that outlet. And I know I'm jumping around a little bit. But I just want to get all the thoughts across. When I was in high school, when I actually finally told someone, I ended up going to a group counseling session with other girls who had been molested by, a family member or the boyfriend of their mom, their father, brothers, cousins. And I sat in that group and listened to these other girls my age, how some of them, their moms blamed them. They came on to her boyfriend. Some of their moms didn't believe them. And I have to tell you that I have the most amazing mom because she did believe me and she has been my champion ever since. And it's difficult sometimes on that parent. My mom's not allowed to read this book. Actually, don't tell her. I'm having a separate book for my mom that has like all the intro stuff where it talks about the acknowledgments. I said I'm laying it out like a basketball game. I have the home team, which are everyone that's got me here to where I am, instrumental in the writing of the book. My friend Allie DeFusco, she showed me a book that her cousin wrote that was about basketball, and that kind of got the wheels turning. And then the wheels were already turning before then because my friend Chris Flynn, I've talked with him about doing TED Talks. That's something that I really, really want to do. And he's like, you should really relate this to basketball. So he got the wheels turning. So then Allie, she told me about the book that her cousin wrote about basketball. And then my dear, dear friend Louise Hayes wrote a book, poetry, and also talks about her eating disorder and sobriety and how she got there. And so it was kind of like, Allie picked up the ball, or it rolled down the court to Louise. Louise picked up the ball, gave me a hard chest pass and said, all right, now we're not going to steal any company's logos. So I'm just going to say, just write it. But so that's where we're at with that part of it. But I started to say at a political rally a few years ago, I spoke about my own experiences. And I had a speech all written out and it had nothing to do with this, nothing. And I changed it last minute because of just things that other people were saying. And I'm like, I need to talk about this. There were some people that were part of my campaign that had kids, their children were involved, and there were younger people in the party who were involved. And before I spoke, I went up to them and I said, hey, I'm going to talk about something today that's very, very personal. It's the first time you're going to be hearing this. So if you have any questions, I want you to come up and see me afterwards and we'll talk about it. And so I'm saying that today also because, like I said, I've been coaching for 25 years. I currently coach. So if any of my athletes are watching this and you're hearing this for the first time, most likely, if there's anything you want to talk about, if you want to ask me any questions, I'm here. Nothing's changed. So going back to that rally, as I'm speaking, you could hear almost when I said that, that I had been molested by my father from the time I was 4 until the time I was 13. It was this instant hush across the crowd. And it is a reaction that I get often. It's the same reaction I get when I tell people that I work in hospice, because they're like, oh. And it's almost a feeling of pity. And there is one thing that I'm going to tell you all right now about me personally, and probably most people in this position: do not ever pity me. Don't ever pity me, because I wouldn't be the person I am today. I'm not saying if life went in rewind, I would want to be molested. No, absolutely not. I would not change a thing though. People say, "Oh, do you have any regrets in life?" And lots of people have regrets. I have no regrets. Not true, but that's, a different topic. But I am who I am because of everything that happened to me, and you are who you are because of everything that's happened to you. It's how you choose to live your life. It's how you choose to use that. We're all beautifully broken, all of us. No matter what we've been through, we're all beautifully broken. It's how you pick up the pieces. What creative mosaic piece of art comes out of it is completely up to you. So that's, I'm going to give some advice today as well. Please don't pity. But there are also things that are very, very important to say to someone who is in my position, let's say. I believe you is huge. I believe you because we are groomed to believe that no one will believe us. We are groomed. And I'm going to share something a little later that even to this day, it can come back on you. We're groomed to believe that nobody will believe us. And I wrote some notes, and it's only because I don't want to miss anything, because I feel it's very important. If someone shares this information with you, I think it's really important to ask them if they've ever told anyone else, because I have to tell you, and the gal that I first told, I've lost touch with, so I don't know if I could really use her name, but it was after the abuse had stopped, which again is very, very common. I saw this a lot when I worked on the campus of the University of Scranton, is that when people get away, especially kids, when they get away from the abuser, when they get away from the threat, when they start to, stand on their own, then they might become more comfortable to share with someone that this happened to them. I saw it happen on campus, and learning all of these things through the years, it made sense with me. And, so I told a friend that, what had happened. I was very matter of fact. And, that's something that I've also considered over the years. Did I disassociate? Do I have dissociative disorder? And no, I don't. I feel that I've disassociated myself from the acts that were committed against me. That I am more matter of fact about, because again, they were acts that were committed against me. They were not my fault. So that is also something that's really, really important. And you'll see it throughout my book. There might just be, I love that you can self-publish these days. There, be a chapter, and then the next page will say it was not your fault. And it was not your fault. And we all need to believe that if we've been in this situation. Why am I talking about this? Why am I writing about this? Why am I so nervous to be talking about this today? We need to talk about this because we live in a society where this happens and it's brushed under the carpet and it's not talked about. And it's just like we're talking about mental health, and we talk about getting rid of the stigmas surrounding mental health. We need to talk about this, and we need to get rid of this stigma because this happened to us. It doesn't make us dirty. It doesn't make us bad. It doesn't make us tainted. People just need to understand us differently. That's all. And it takes big people to understand this. And I'm talking family, friends, and I'm talking relationships too. It takes a big person to be able to understand and work with someone who's been in this situation and help them through it, because we're always healing. We're always healing. It's not something that goes away, because if you think about it from the psychological level of development, we were halted. Maybe not necessarily halted, but there was a part of our development that was fractured. Some people, it was broken maybe beyond repair. And I hate to say that, but because I feel that nothing is beyond repair. But if we keep quiet about this, they will remain broken. If we talk about it, we can help them to heal. And that's why I'm talking about this. And I have some stats that I'm going to share with you. And it said something, statista.com, that 15% of families, this was in 2024, and it was reported from 1980, I believe, to 2022, 15% of families report having, incest within their family. And I'm sorry, I just don't think that statistic is correct, because it's just so prevalent in so many families. And the stats from Statista also said that out of individuals sexually assaulted or sexually abused up until the time they were 18, 46% of them were abused by a family member. This is not good. It's not right. And we need to speak about it more. And gentlemen, we need you to speak about it. I am a feminist 100%, and you can make whatever you want from that. But if you really want to know, then you ask me. And I've always said, and this was more started, I think, with more like the third wave of feminism, is that we need men. We need men speaking about these things, because our society has given us these roles, and the women, woo, we got the crazy hormonal stuff going on. And if a woman speaks out, that's crazy woman. No, it's not. But we need the men. We need the men to say, this is not okay. Whether it's incest, whether it's sexual abuse, sexual assault, whether it's catcalling, we need the men. It's not locker room talk. It's not boys will be boys. And we need, as parents, as a society, and the men that are out there, we are a patriarchal society, and it's terrible that our society has this way of thinking, and we also innately buy into it. And that's what we need to stop. And that's one of the reasons why I will always speak out. So if somebody's talking with you, ask them if they've told anyone. Have you told anyone this? Because if you're the first person, you've got some pretty big shoes that you need to fill in that moment. And again, this wasn't your fault. This wasn't your fault. And I believe you. And let's see how we can get through this. And that's, getting the professionals involved. And again, I'm always going to get political. Funding has been cut for programs like this. Where are we going to go? What are we going to do? I know that there was I just saw a story. It was on Father's Day, because people complained, oh, this is the story you're putting up on Father's Day. And it was about a man who had been convicted, I believe, for abusing his family member, daughter, granddaughter. I apologize. I don't remember exactly. From the time that child was 9 until the time the child, I believe, was 21 and had fathered children with this individual. And I remember reading the comments. They're like, oh, where were the other family members? And, somebody else should be held accountable. And I have to say this, stop that. Stop that. The perpetrator, that's the bad guy. That's the villain. My mom was at work. How are you supporting your family and watching the person that you are supposed to trust, the father of your children? So we need to stop pointing fingers. We need to stop looking at other people that were potentially involved. I mean, yeah, there could be something that comes out that there was some sick twistedness of family event, whatever. But I can tell you from working in this field, there are situations where this is their life. They have never known anything different. And I will say that about me. The first quarter of my book is, as early back as I can remember through middle school. And I have to tell you that I had no clue of what was happening to me wasn't happening in all families. I had no clue. It was my reality. Now, is that something, a kindergartner or first grader is going to talk about? No, because I mean, do you talk about, what you had for dinner with I mean, did you talk about, anything like that? Your bedtime routines. You're in kindergarten, through middle school. You talk about what you like, you talk about class, and all that stuff. Um, so I had no clue that what was happening to me was not normal. And it wasn't until I really started getting older in middle school that I recognized that. And by that point, it had stopped. Again, I was 13 years old when it stopped. And again, I'm sorry, I am very outspoken. Um, I live my life with a healthy ounce of sarcasm and a little bit of a twisted sense of humor, but also I just blurted out. And so I apologize again. 988, please utilize that. Give us a call, 908-899-3089. If there's anything that you want to talk about, we'd love to hear from you. But the first quarter was me talking about my life then. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the parts of the book that were harder to write, because that's why I had the hiatus. That's why I was in my own headspace, because you have to, again, go through it to get through it. And so many things came up that I've really been in a contemplative, I wouldn't say dark, but I have been in a very, very contemplative place. I separate that. I can compartmentalize, but work is work, friends are friends, family's family. But when I am home and I am in my own, my own comfort zone, my own space, then it's the brain is going and we're working on the book, and I'm very, very contemplative. You haven't seen me out too much in society lately, whatever. That's the reason why. And I wanted to actually apologize for the hiatus. And I wanted to come on tonight and kind of explain it. Because if I'm doing a program about mental health, I need to talk about my own, right? And if I'm not open enough to talk about that, then I have no right talking to other people about mental health. So again, the book that will be coming out at the end of the summer is Basketball Saved Me: Healing from Sexual Trauma Through Sport. I will always have information about it on my Facebook page, which is Mental Health Mondays. Please check me out. I know that we have some new followers with us this evening, and that's probably why I was actually a little bit difficult for me, or I'm a little bit nervous, because these are people that really don't know me that well. I do have to say hi to Miss H. I promised her. So they're hearing this for the first time after just meeting me. So again, it goes back to some of the, I don't want to say insecurities, but I feel like a potential of having to explain things, when I see them again. So in the first quarter, I talk about my introduction to basketball, and my basketball coach and mentor was Mr. Charles Green, and he is to this day. And when I say this, and I say in the book, I am in love with that man. And I don't mean it in a romantic way. I mean it in a way that I've seen through the years that daughters look at their fathers. And he is probably the closest thing to a father figure I've ever had in my entire life. And I know that he knows, because I've told him that he means the world to me. But he was my gym teacher in middle school. And Ms. Nancy Keogh, she's the second. So it's those two, frickin' frack, that brought me to where I am today with my love of basketball. And it started out as, we're going to play against Stroudsburg. I'm a Pocono Mountain Cardinal. We're going to play against Stroudsburg because we want to get a middle school program started. And let's get some of these kids together and go play some basketball. And I love Dr. J. So I knew shirt, and my mom cut out like the number 6, put Doc on the back. That was my nickname. And then I was off to play basketball. But I think we're going to take a quick break, and I'm going to tell you about how that game went when we come back. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. No break?
Hello, I'm Chantel Davis from Willie Mae's Place and Legacy Vines Winery, located in Gilbert, Pennsylvania. We're the only restaurant and winery experience where we pair delicious homemade scratch kitchen Southern comfort food with delicious homemade wine. All of our tastings will include some type of food and wine portion pairing, so definitely check us out. You can visit us at williemaysplace.com, legacyvineswinery.com, and also follow us on our socials, Willie Mae's Place Restaurant. Hope to see you soon.
Okay, I know you can't wait to hear about that game, right? So we got creamed. Killed. Oh my gosh, an embarrassment. So if you're from the Pocono area, you know that we had this thing called the Greater Pocono Basketball Tournament for decades. What we didn't realize at the time is that what was supposed to be a scrimmage against Stroudsburg was actually a game in the Greater Pocono Tournament. And they killed us to the point where they were actually laughing at us on the court. And I did not quit. I didn't quit. And I don't know if we scored 10 points, maybe 5. I don't know. But I didn't quit. Hey, we're going to be around, by the way, longer than a half hour. I was a little nervous. I didn't think I could talk this long about this subject, but I'm glad you guys are sticking around with me. So thank you. It means the world to me. We got creamed, and but I loved it. I loved it. And I didn't think about it then. It definitely wasn't in my conscious thought. But when you're on the basketball court, you're no different than anyone else. You're all wearing the same uniform or the other uniform. You're all ballers. You're all basketball players. You're no different than anyone else. And I think I needed that. I think I really needed that. And so we go to, chapter 2 is talking about like the high school years. And in high school is when I told someone finally, and I started going to that support group, and I saw these other girls that didn't have the support system that I had. And I didn't even recognize back then how much basketball meant to me. I think part of it is I always wanted to make Mr. Green proud. And again, subconsciously, he was my father figure. And, I think that had a lot to do with it. But being in that group and all these other girls, and I found myself supporting them. Now, again, something I've played over and over in my head, as I'm writing this book. Is it because I was deflecting? Oh boy, you get a mental health practitioner. And what do you get? A lot of self-diagnosis. But, was it deflection? Or was that who I am? I was born a social worker. That I know. Maybe not born, but I've always been the champion for the underdog. And I would have to ask my older brother, because his memory is 1,000 times better than mine, of how old I was when I rescued my first dog. And his name was Sporty, and he was my first dog ever. He lived to be like 14 years old. And it was from my Memmy CHRISTMAN's house. And they had a bunch of puppies, and he was the littlest one there. And the runts are gonna die. My cousins, they weren't very, very nice. And I'm like, no, I am not letting this puppy die. And I snuck it home in the car in my shirt, under my shirt. And you hear on the way home, too late. I brought him home. So it's who I am. Was it who I needed to be so that I could, make it through this? I don't know. And I'm not going to question it. My name is Hope. My mom named me Hope. It's in my baby book. So, it's on the internet. It's got to be true because she hoped for more children. I'm the second oldest of 7. That worked. The second name for me was Vera. You're hearing it first, which is kind of interesting because Vera, I use her sometimes as an alter ego when I do creative writing. And she is a more daft version of me. And more daft because, I'm pretty socially awkward at times. But she is she's like this wannabe, like she knows all this stuff, but she really knows nothing. And I love her and she's hilarious. And I hated my name when I was a kid because people made fun of my name. But I love my name now because I have always tried to live up to my name. And the field that I work in right now is hospice. And, I'll introduce myself to a family. And the impact that my name has on them is tremendous. I take that serious. I take that very serious. And again, I think that comes from my experiences in life. And, so I take my name very serious and I take living up to my name very serious. So I hope that you understand a little bit where I'm coming from with that. But so my second quarter is talking about high school and it's interesting because I said on the court, we're all the same. And there was this one girl, and I can't remember if it was the end of middle school or high school, that also played basketball that she didn't like me. We were poor. I didn't know we were poor. Everybody else did, apparently. We were poor growing up. So that was something that kind of, was out there on occasion and people, would make fun of me on it, whatever. And I remember this one girl didn't like me very much. And she was the only issue ever. So I'm saying to you as athletes, you don't know someone's story. Don't be a jerk to the other players on your team. Seriously. And I've said this, I've been coaching 25 years. Say it to my coaches and my coaches. Wow. Our coaches, basketball coaches. They are not my coaches. They're your coaches. You never know what went on in that kid's house during the day, what kind of day that kid had in school. Did that kid eat? What's going on at home? We're not just teaching basketball. We are teaching life. Ball is life. Everything I need to know, I've learned through basketball. Part of the book also. Remember, basketball saved me. Healing from sexual trauma through sport. I saw some of these other girls in the group and I've seen some through the years and they haven't come through it, some of them, as well as I have. And I feel that, again, having my mom as my support system, having my coaches, and having basketball is what got me through. People take different turns. You hear statistically, people who have been sexually abused can tend to be more sexually active, sexually promiscuous. They can become, drug abusers. They can become alcohol abusers. That never happened to me. And basketball is the reason. I don't want to go through all the quarters because I really want to talk about the process more and, and how it has affected me. I have a home team and I have the opponent, and it's interesting. My home team, I've mentioned a few people, of course, my coaches, my family is tremendous. My kids know all this. My basketball players, and I know I've had a lot of you through the years, and we've gone through a lot, and you've shared a lot with me through the years, and we've gotten through it. And I have to tell you this now, and I'm telling you this in the book also. Anything that I gave to you through the years, you gave to me tenfold. You gave to me tenfold. And I still coach basketball today, and I coach track. And when I watch the kids interacting with each other and the positive environment that I like to try to create, and the empowering environment that I try to create with these kids, and watching them teach each other and rely on each other, I just get so much energy from them. So thank you. Thank you. You don't know how much you mean to me. Thank you. One of the things that people in my position tend to have is memory issues, because again, remember I said the brain is so fragile yet so resilient. It protects us. And I am divorced twice. And I had, at one point a few years ago, I was like, you know what? I think I want to start dating. And I had gone to, and I've been in counseling through the years. I had gone to a counselor who was very, very specifically worked with individuals who experienced sexual abuse, trauma, and incest. And the type of therapy that this counselor did was through like rapid eye movement and things like that. And when we talked about triggers. What are your triggers? What are the things that trigger you? And then we need to talk about these things, and we need to walk through them again and use this technique. And what happened in that scenario is that I either didn't have any triggers, or they are so far buried that we could not get to them. Well, I have to tell you that when I did start dating, it was a failure. And I say that in the most loving way, because if I ever chose to have a best friend again, he would be it. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I lost my best friend 4 years ago. So that honor to say BFF, best friend, that is something that's very, very reserved. So, I have good close friends. He's the closest I would have to say to a BFF, but I didn't do so hot. I thought I was better. I thought I was healed. That's it. And, at times it was pretty tumultuous. But he's a good egg, and I'm glad that he remains in my life, and we talk about all kinds of stuff now, and it's great. But the one thing that's interesting that I've learned, I've had only a few relationships since my divorce. I've learned something about myself and my healing journey through each one of those relationships, and I just not the right situations for me. I feel that I'm okay now. I've learned a lot about myself, and I'm going to go over some of the book that was a little more difficult to write, or that really stands out. And okay, Kendall's going to probably walk out of the room. One of the chapters is called Daddy Issues. And this was actually born out of a relationship that I was in not too long ago. It was rather interesting. And this individual described himself as a dominant. Now, I'm pretty naive, I'm not going to lie. So I did my homework. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Talked to my friend. And she's like, hey, Hope, what the heck? You only live once. So, I have to say that the intimate part of it was not something that was for me. And that was not something that, that was pressured or what have you. But what he said to me that was interesting was that he has found that independent women such as myself, alpha women such as myself, like a dominant, because it takes some of that responsibility off of them. And that's what got me intrigued. And it wasn't a control thing. And it was silly things like, if I've ever asked you, if you know me personally, I've ever asked you, what color should I do my nails? Just give me an answer, please. Because I will stand in front of that wall for an hour picking a color of nail polish. Now, I work in crisis. If I need to make decisions, no problem. Pick a nail color, decide what to have for dinner. No. I have been the one having to make those decisions my entire life, and certainly through my second marriage, and definitely since then. So the thought of having someone who would just, hey, what color should I do my nails? And he would tell me, I was all over that. Sounds weird, right? But what I realized through that is that I had some daddy issues. And not in the way, you might think of daddy issues. I don't know how you think of daddy issues, but my daddy issue was that my entire life, there was only one time that I ever recall my father actually being a father or being a dad to me. And I was 8 years old and I got bit by a dog. And my mom took me to urgent care. I have a huge scar under my armpit, and we only saw the bites on top. And we're going down the road, and I'm like, Mommy, my arm feels so cold. And I lift up my arm, and it's like, my armpit is gone. And she's like, oh, hit the gas, hit the horn, put the four ways on. And I remember she bought me a geranium on the way home. That was when Bush's had their farm stand across from the high school. And when we went home, my father came over and he picked me up out of the car and carried me into the house. And that is the only time I ever remember my father being a dad. And I look at my female friends and their relationships with their dad. And I realized at that point that I missed that. But because I realized it, I was able to acknowledge it. I was able to get closure on it. So healing is a lifelong process, but you have to be open to it. And I think we're going to take another break. Yes? No? Okay. Awesome. We're all beautifully broken. I don't want you to give up on yourself because I'm not going to give up on you. Okay. We're going to get through this together. So yeah, daddy issues it's kind of a funny chapter. You know what? Okay. Here's my sarcastic, twisted sense of humor part is that I don't even think he really lived that lifestyle. Actually, I know 100% he didn't live that lifestyle. He truly just watched a lot of adult films. But I learned something about myself. So everybody comes in your life for a reason or a season, right? And that was his reason. And I thank my angels, my ancestors, however you want to put it. I'm a very spiritual person versus a religious person. And I thank them for bringing the people into my life when they need to be in my life, and for me to be able to understand it. And we all need to be open to that. And if we're not, meditate, whatever it is for you to have your mind be open. I play basketball, but I kayak, I wog. It's like walking, jogging. I used to run. I like to walk through the woods. I like to be out in nature. Find what it is for you. It doesn't have to be what it is for me. Find what it is for you and let that be your peace. Let that be your place that you go where you find peace, and find yourself, because that's really important. And I remember this person gave me advice one time after my divorce. She said, when was a time in your life that you felt the happiest? And I was like, high school. I loved high school. I love school in general. I love college. I would be a perpetual college student. I've taught college. I would be a total professor if I felt like going back for my PhD. So she's like, great. Go back to that. What was it about high school? The music, the people. And I reconnected. And there I had some good friends, my girl crew from high school that we still hang out. But the music, I went back and I found it. And I regained who I was. I'm asking you the same question. When in your life were you the happiest? Figure that out and then revisit it. Now, I'm not saying you got to get the 80s hair, but I think some people have it because I think anything is fashionable these days. But revisit it. revisit it. I'm telling you, it's going to, I don't tell anything. I am strongly suggesting to you that it will make a world of difference in your life. Again, you can always reach out to me. There is another chapter that was really, really emotional for me to write. And I haven't finished it yet because I have to keep going back because it is really emotional. Like I said, I've been in a headspace, and if we're friends and I haven't reached out to you, I love you. I think about you. I just need to get this. I need this. There's no reason for you to reach out. I'm okay. I promise you I'm okay. I do have to thank my friend Christine, though. She does reach out to me all the time. Hey, you good? I love you, girl. Thank you. But the one that was difficult emotionally for me to write was be the adult you needed as a child. Now, I'm not saying that my mom, was the adult I needed. And the person that is the focus of this chapter, her mom and her stepdad are the parents that she needs. So I'm not negating anybody's parents. But what it is, it's the opportunity to be there for somebody else. Like, what you went through as a child. And you have the opportunity as an adult to be there for someone. And I sent a picture to a friend, and it's me hugging one of my basketball players during a game, like a timeout. And it was a huge just release from this athlete. And I'm there. I have her back. And if I cry, this is the only time it's going to happen. I've coached this girl since she's 9 years old, and she's a sophomore in high school. Wow, going to be a sophomore in high school. And I will always have this girl's back. I have had this girl's back. I will be her protector if it's ever needed, because her parents, her mom and her stepdad, have charged me with her safety and her protection, not just physically, but her mental and emotional well-being when she is in my care. And I'm like that with all of my athletes, don't get me wrong, but this one, and it's not to say that my athletes have not been special to me, because we have all gone through a lot together, and I will always be there for all of my athletes, which is why I've never changed my phone number. But this one really had me thinking, because of the timing of writing the book. Be the adult you needed as a child. And I know with this young lady that she will be the adult that she needed as a child. And that's why it's so emotional for me, because we're carrying it. We're carrying it to the next generations. I've seen her. She's a leader. She will take charge in that court, but I've also seen she's me. She's my mini me. I think some of the things that she does is to make me proud, just like I did with Mr. Green. And let me tell you, I'm not going to say your name, but you know who you are. Look, sorry, are there tissues here, Kendall? I'm proud of you. I'm good. I'm proud of you every single day. So that was definitely a tough one. Woo! So you can see I've been in a headspace. Basketball saved me. Healing from sexual trauma through sport. By the end of August, it'll be out. I am back now on Mondays until Kendall kicks me out. Just kidding. Mental Health Mondays here on the PA Empowerment Network, 6 p.m. until 6:30-ish every Monday. If you would like to be on the show, let me know. If you would like to sponsor the show, I would love to have some sponsors for our show, because we're going places with the PA Empowerment Network, and we need you. We need our sponsors. Thank you to our current sponsors. But if you want to sponsor the network, that's great. If you would like to sponsor just this show because you are as passionate about mental health as I am, I'd love to have you. Next week, I don't have the speaker 100%. I don't have my my guest, but I am talking to someone that I really want to get on for next week. It is Pride Month. June is Pride Month. And this young man who I've known for a long time, so proud of the person he is, just came out and as part of the LGBTQ plus community, and so proud of his strength and who he is. As a person, he's an amazing human being, and that's who I want to talk to next week. So if we can get it on his schedule, that's who we're going to talk to. But if not, there are a few other things that I really, really want to talk about, and functional depression is one of them. So I hope you join us next week. I hope you join us every Monday, but also check out the other shows on the Empowerment Network, because we're here for you. Thank you so much again. Mental Health Mondays. My name is Hope CHRISTMAN. Thanks for joining me. Love you.